these are my top 10 books of 2014, and not all of them were released in 2014. They're just the top 10, well, my personal top 10 books that I've read in 2014. Overall this year, and I'm not pleased about this, first of all, I somehow thought that I'd read a lot more, but alas, it was not meant to be. I read 34 books. I did, like, I don't know what month it was though, but every year there's at least one month where I either read at least one book or no books. Every year, I don't know how I do it. So yeah, these are my top 10, and they're not in any certain order. Also, a lot of these are 5 stars, and it sounds like I'm just the sort of person who'd give a book 5 stars, like just read it and be like, aye, that was alright, give it 5 stars. I'm not really. I don't know why. Because these are my favourite books, so they're likely to be 5 stars anyway. Also, a lot of these books I don't have the actual physical book copy because I borrowed them from the library, so I don't own them, and now they're back in the library. So, sorry. The first book that I'm going to talk about is Ketchup Clouds by Annabel. This was an absolutely amazing book. It's basically about a 15-year-old girl who was involved in a murder, and she's writing to this man on death row because she wants to like confess about this murder, this person that she murdered. And it's absolutely incredible. The writing style is so beautiful, it's so poetic. I've heard people say that the writing style is not unlike John Green's, but hey, if you like John Green, then yeah, read it. There's that mystery aspect to it as well. It's a mystery, it's sort of like a murder mystery sort of, and you don't find out like who she murdered and what happened until the very end. And it's I couldn't put this book down. I kept reading it and I kept reading it, and it flowed so well. It's in the form of letters to the guy on death row, but also like just her like going through everyday life. The other thing is, it's a 15-year-old girl, you know, it's from her perspective. I read it a few days after I turned 16, and I didn't find it at all childish or immature. It was like perfectly just written. Like, I could not ask more from the writer. It wasn't lazy, and it wasn't dismissive of, you know, 15-year-olds. Like, she was very smart, she was very open-minded, and she knew what she'd done wrong. And yeah, this is a very good book. It's a very quick read. There's also a love triangle in it, which is quite different because it involves 2 brothers and her, but the romance in it is very good. And it has you sort of like on the edge of your seat because it is that bit dodgy and scandalous, I guess. But yeah, it's really good. I couldn't put it down. I definitely recommend it. I gave it 5 stars. The second one was Wish You Were Here by Todd Strasser. This is an amazing book. I'd never heard about this book before. I'd never seen it on the shelves in Waterstones. I'd never seen it anywhere, and I just saw it on the shelf in the library, so I just picked it up, put it in my pile, and just read it in about like 2 days. This book is so freaking like scary. I could not sleep at night sometimes because I was thinking about this book and how scary it is, and when at the end, like, it freaked me out so much. Like, it's sort of a plot twist, it sort of isn't, but wow, this book just, you don't expect it. I just didn't expect much from it because I hadn't heard of it, and like, I just went into it completely blind, and it was almost like the best way to go into it. This one's like a murder mystery as well. There's a blog or something. Is it a blog? I think it's a blog. It's been a while. I read it very early in the year. And it's from somebody who had gotten bullied and said that they wished like some of the popular people were dead, and then these popular people start going missing, and it's like, oh, what's happening? This girl, I'm pretty sure, gets like messages like your friends are in danger and stuff like that, so she like goes to try and save them. And it's like, as with the last one, this one, like, I couldn't put down more. Like, I was more glued to this one than Ketchup Clouds, but I'd come upstairs to like get something to bring downstairs, and I'd end up lying on my bed just reading this book like completely glued, and then I'd be like freaked out. It was so it's a really good book. You should definitely pick it up. Like, I feel like more people should know about it. More people probably do know about it, but I've never, like, it's brilliant. It's so good. And he's actually written other books. When I looked him up to see if he'd written other books, he's written plenty more, and I'm definitely going to read them. One is actually already in my to read list on Goodreads that I didn't know I just didn't know that it was by him, and I'm excited. I'm definitely going to be reading his books in the future. As well with the last one, it's a young adult book, but it doesn't, not dismissive of its readers, it doesn't like baby them. The writing isn't lazy, it isn't like cliche, oh, you're a popular person, I hate you, I'm such a nerd, everybody hates me, boo-hoo sort of thing. Yeah, 5 out of 5 stars definitely. Please read this book, it's brilliant. Third one was How to Love by Katie Kotugno. That sounds like Cotton Eye Joe.
But I hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from, where did you go, where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
I gave that 5 stars as well. Basically, it's about a teenage mother. The father of her child comes back into town like unexpectedly, like trying to trust him and get to know him a bit more, and it's a very tentative relationship. It's really lovely. Like, the guy is a bit of an asshole, but you end up loving him. Like, it's really weird. It's a really lovely love story, and the kid, right, this sounds really bad, but the kid just doesn't really get in the way, which is also very nice. This book was so good, you should definitely read it. It's really sweet and it's different. It's definitely different as well. Number 4 is, and I do have this one, although I have to keep it like this because I'm working on this book for my English dissertation. I read this for the first time this year, and I have like the poster, and like I'm sort of obsessed with this book. Like, I think a lot of people are obsessed with this book. It's the sort of book that you either love or you hate, and I loved it. Like, I absolutely love The Catcher in the Rye. You need to read it. If you've ever felt lost, I'd say this is a book for you because you don't get more lost than Holding Caulfield. It's about an adolescent, and he's just wandering around the streets of New York City. He just got kicked out of his like school, and he's very lost. His brother Ali recently died, and he's still not quite over that, and he's struggling with growing up, and he's scared of growing up, and all through the novel he like reaches out for grown-ups to try and tell him that growing up isn't that bad, and he just doesn't get the answers that he wants. It's a distressing novel, it really is, because Holden is so lonely, and if you've ever felt lonely, this is definitely the book for you. Loads and loads and loads of teenagers, probably adults too, relate to Holden, and like he tries to protect innocence a lot. He reminds me of a lot of Charlie from The Perks of Being a Wallflower. He's really concerned about how people are going to be when they grow up, and how he's going to be when he grows up. It's all about it is all about growing up, and this book's lovely. The only thing, the writing style is repetitive. He uses words so repetitively. I mean, like, Holden Caulfield has such a distinctive narrative voice that after you read it, you'll sort of start talking in your head like him. My battery died because I got way too excited talking about The Catcher in the Rye, so I don't know whether to do this in 2 parts, like this video, because it's already about like 7.5 minutes long, and I'm only on book number 4. Yeah, this is going to be in 2 parts. Definitely. I don't know if I said this already, but he has a very dismissive sort of narrative where he'll say things, and if you're not careful you won't pick up on them, but there's a lot of things that you really do need to read into, and they explain a lot about his mistrust of adults and his like relationship with his parents. And yeah, so I gave The Catcher in the Rye 5 stars, I would say, but I'm trying to see what I wrote on my board. Yeah, 5 stars. Definitely recommend reading it. It's very good, and it's the sort of book that like comes up in conversation.